Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at starting to collect Skaven army for Warhammer Age of Sigmar 4th edition. We'll be using the contents of the Skaventide launch box set to create a 2,000 point army for the game. Today's video is sponsored by Gap Games, a fantastic miniature wargaming store in Queensland, Australia. They stock a wide variety of miniature wargames from all things Games Workshop to some of my personal favourites, Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, and all things Modifius wargames as well. Use our affiliate code in the link below to help support both this fantastic store and the channel as well. Leading the Skaven half of this box set is the Claw Lord on Norbeast, a brand new unit for the Skaven reminiscent of the old Forge World Skaven Brood Horror. This model can pack out quite a bit of damage in melee for a Skaven character and even has a swingy but solidly decent ranged weapon in its rattling pistol that can even shoot in combat. When this model is damaged, it gets even more aggressive, adding 3 to the attacks of its Warforged Halberd for a total of 8 attacks at Ren 1 damage 2. The Cruel Commander rule allows this model to inflict 1 mortal damage on a target Verminous unit and then add 5 to that unit's control score, effectively getting rid of 1 to add 4, so you get +4 with this. Regiment wise, the Claw Lord is able to take any number of Verminous keyworded units in its warband. These will be things like Clan Rats. The next character is the Grey Seer, the true brains behind the Skaven operation. Grey Seers are a Wizard 1 and have a hero phase ability called Warpstone Shards. These allow your Skaven Grey Seers to make a casting roll on 3d6, but they cannot reroll or modify these rolls in any way. If the casting roll total for this rule is 13, the spell is successfully cast, cannot be unbound, though the Wizard will take d3 mortal damage after the spell's effects are resolved. If the result isn't a 13, you then pick 2 of the 3 dice to choose to use in your casting roll. Besides this, the Grey Seers are pretty standard wizards. Regiment-wise, Grey Seers can take any Skaven units they want, and 0-1 Overclaws as well, which can be a variety of different Skaven heroes, things like Claw Lords and Deathmasters. Lastly, for characters in the box set, we have the Warlock Engineer. Like the Grey Seer, this is an update of an old model. This model is armed with a long-range warp-lock musket that can choose to provide itself with more warp energy to change its damage from D3 to 3, at the cost of potentially shooting itself in the face. This model also has the Sniper Master rule, which can allow nearby warp-lock Giselle units to ignore the Guarded Hero rule. Regiment wise, this model can take 0-1 units of Clan Rats and any number of Skaven Scryer units in its regiment. Our first unit that make up the majority of the Skaven half of the Vermintide box set are the Hordes of Clan Rats. Clan Rats have 2 attacks each, but while they do only wound on a 5+, they have the crit auto wound ability. At the end of any turn as well, the Seething Swarm ability will allow you to return D3 slain models to your unit to keep your hordes of rats on the table for longer. The unit also has a Champion Musician and Standard Bearer Command models, giving it the full command entourage. Next up, are brand new models for one of my personal favourite units from the Skaven, Rat Ogres. They're a fairly solid combat unit, punching out with quite a few attacks that can be boosted more if they inflict some mortal damage on themselves with the Unleashed Warp Fury ability. 1 in 3 models in the unit as well is able to take a Warp Fire Gun, a short range weapon that is able to shoot in combat and puts out 2d6 attacks. For Skaven, they're also fairly bulky, 4 wounds each and a 5+ save, nothing to shirk about for Skaven defensively. Another Skaven unit with a makeover is next again, and this time it's the Warplock Giselles. This long range shooting unit pack out 2 attacks per model, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s with rend and damage 2. The crit auto wound rule allows them to make up for that not so great hit score, though they can buff up their shooting and their hit roll by not making any move abilities in the preceding turn. Lastly, in the box set is a brand new piece of Scryer engineering, the Rattling Warp Blaster. This machine puts out a whopping 3d6 +3 attacks at range with a crit auto wound ability, and it is within range of a Skaven hero. It can even boost up these attacks to 66 +3. However, each hit roll of a 1 when it does this for the next shooting attack will inflict a point of mortal damage on it after all the attacks have been resolved. This is perfect for slaying enemy hordes with its overwhelming fire rule as well, giving it +1 to hit whenever it targets a unit with 10 or more models. The first unit we're going to look to add to our force is some souped up Rat Ogres in the form of Stormfiends. Stormfiends are a solid unit with some serious firepower at range and a good combat prowess as well, able to take a wide variety of different weaponry. Their special abilities are generally tied to the weapon options they choose, with things like shoot in combat on the warp fire projectors, shock gauntlets scoring d6 hits each time they land a critical hit, or grinder fists even allowing the unit much more freedom where to pop up onto the battlefield if they've used the deployed in the tunnels below ability. Next up is another character, the Deathmaster. This model can actually be taken in some other characters' regiments as a Skaven Overclaw as well, allowing you to get another character into your force without adding another drop in deployment. It's a fairly solid little piece with a decent amount of attacks both at range and in melee. Its melee attacks as well will specifically be good at taking out enemy characters with the anti-hero +1 rend and crit mortal special rules. Defense wise, it might only have a 5+ save, but enemy models can only ever hit it on a 5+ with their attacks. It will also give nearby Eshin units, including itself, the ability to shoot and or charge even if they used a run ability in the same turn. Regiment wise, if this model wishes to lead its own regiment, it can take 0-1 clan rat units and any Eshin units it wants to as well. Lastly, we have the Hell Pit Abomination. This is a massive grotesque Skaven monstrosity and packs out a whopping 13 attacks with the anti-infantry +1 rend special rule, making it great at smashing through the ranks of enemy troops. Adding to this anti-infantry attack, it can pick an enemy infantry unit in combat with it and roll a dice for each model in that unit, and on a 5+ on each of those dice do a mortal damage point to that unit. Defense wise, it does just have a 5+ save, but does heal d6 each turn and even has the potential to come back from the dead after it's been slain. In today's army, we are obviously going to be having a Skaven force, and we've gone for Warpfog Convocation. This allows us to boost up some of our Scryer units. Now we do have a good mix of units in the force, and we could either go with the Molder or Vermithsling mods as well based on the units we have. Our first regiment has our Clawlord as its hero, and this is our general. He's also got the artifact power Warpstone Charm, which will make it easier to hurt enemies that are in combat with us. Units wise, in this warband, we've got a unit of clan rats and a second unit of clan rats as well. Regiment number 2 is led by our Grey Seer. His units wise, we have a unit of Rat Ogres, a Deathmaster in there as a character, and then a Hell Pit Abomination. Regiment number 3 is led by our Warlock Engineer, who has the heroic trait Skilled Manipulator. This allows him to sit near friendly infantry units and effectively protect himself from harm. Units wise, we have the Rattling Warp Blaster, Warp Cells, and Storm Fiends. We hope this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any other questions at all, please comment down below. And while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar content.